Hello and welcome to Marketing Storytime with Momo. I am Momo, so welcome. It's so good to have you here. If this is your first time here, welcome and thank you for stopping by. If you're a returning viewer, two thumbs up to you. So thank you so much for stopping by. I am Momo. Like I said, I am the founder of Momo's Marketing Consulting, a strategic marketing firm that helps businesses to move from vision to increase revenue and to create visibility. So, welcome. It's good to have you here. But before we go further, let's take a second and pause and then hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the subscribe button. Let's grow the Momo community. We're trying to establish a strong community. So please hit the subscribe button. Let's grow our community. Let's make small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, let's make them better. Okay? So, welcome and thank you. Before we go any further, like I always say, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, and grab a cup of water. In my case today, I have Ribena here. So grab whatever you're comfortable having. So let's have this chit chat. It's a continuation from last week. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, okay? Welcome and thank you. So last week we talked about influencer marketing and I got quite a few questions online. People asking me, so what are the various types of influencers and when should they be utilized? So it's going to be a short conversation today. And we're going to talk about the different kinds of influencers that I am aware of and when businesses should utilize them. So let's get into it. The first one I'll say is mega influencers. Those are the ones with 1 million to millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of followers. Okay? Example would be like a Davido, a Toke Makinwa, Cristiano Ronaldo, those are the mega influencers. However, they don't come cheap, so you can utilize them if you're trying to create visibility and and things like that. So I will say mega influencers, they have millions and millions and millions of followers. I think Cristiano Ronaldo is the most followed celebrity online, if I'm not mistaken. So imagine following that kind of person and then the person becomes your influencer. Just imagine how many people would see your product and utilize your product. So that is very, those are what mega, or that is what, not those, that is what mega influencers do. They create visibility. Their main goal is to create visibility. They can help in product launches. They can help with brand visibility, like I said, and help with mass market campaigns. They're also good for if you're trying to go global, like a Cristiano Ronaldo that has millions and millions and millions of followers, Davido that has millions and millions and millions of followers, they create that global awareness for you. So if that's your aim, then you should be hitting that. However, just know that they come at a cost as well. They have grown themselves to that point. So with any other like any other thing, you have to pay for that attention, right? So the second type of influencer I would say are the macro influencers. Those are the ones that have 100,000 to 1 million followers. Last week I mentioned Dimma Ume, and she is considered a macro influencer. She has between 100,000 to 1 million followers, but she stays, I said it last week, she stays same. Like her advice, her recommendations are always good, at least from my perspective and from what I hear and see online. So if you're trying to create awareness, engagement, credibility, like I said, Dima is very credible. I will utilize her, you know. So that's who, you know, mega influencer is. No, sorry, a macro influencer, not mega. Mega is Davido them. Um, Macro is them Dimma. Then we have the micro influencers. They're the ones that have between 10,000 to 100,000 followers. And those are not, I just want to say, when we are calling these numbers, they are not easy. Look at me, I'm still trying to grow my my YouTube page. I only have 70 something followers. So imagine working so hard to grow your followership to almost 100,000, if not 100,000. That's, that's a whole lot of people. So, um, those are also good for SMEs. If you're a small business owner, if you're a startup, if you're a local business, if you have niche products, that's when you utilize the micro influencers. They're not bad. It's just, they're not as expensive as the mega influencers. However, they do create a huge level, not some, a huge level of awareness as well, because they are niche based influencers most of the time. Then we have the nano influencers between 1,000 and 10,000 followers, which is where I'm trying to at least get to. Let me be a nano influencer, right? So help me grow my page by following me, okay? Let me pause again. Please subscribe below if you are not yet subscribed. So please, I'm begging. I'm actually begging. Please follow, subscribe to my page. So nano influencers, they are very authentic, they are trustworthy, people believe them, local businesses like them because they are closer to the grassroots, if I can put it that way. um they help with word of mouth growth, so that's what you like from a nano influencer. Now, industry influencers, those are the ones that help in professional services. Lawyers, accountants, marketing professionals, doctors, engineers. They are the experts in the industry. So you have, for example, a lawyer that comes out and talks about a law firm or a case or something. It helps with that industry, with that particular business that we're talking about. So those are industry influencers, and they're equally good. They're good for B2B marketing, professional services, consulting, technology. They're good with industry experts. Like if you're looking for an industry expert, they're always the best to use for that, you know. Then we have thought leaders, people that talk about certain situations, um, that creates, that are knowledgeable in certain fields. Those are also like CEOs, authors, consultants, business leaders. Those are thought leaders, and they create some level of influence as well. Because if a thought leader says something, a lot of people listen up. They're like, okay, what's this person saying? I think it might be advisable to listen to them. So that's another form of, influencers. So I'm going to say this much. Being an influencer is a big responsibility. I think that's one thing that people don't realize, because if you're telling people are putting their trust in you, and trust is something that is earned. You build it over time. However, if for any reason you say you mess up once, you mess up twice, at that point people stop believing what you have to say. So it's very important that as an influencer, you are actually putting in the work to make sure that what you're saying, what you're communicating, what you're selling out there is factual, so that people don't veer off and say, I can't trust that person. I will always say, I listen to Dimma a lot, and I really, really like her influence, like what she says. She uses the product, she understands the product before she comes out to talk about the product. There's this other lady I follow on YouTube. I think her name is Amara or something. and she talks about hair. I think anyone that knows me knows I love hair. So she talks about hair. But when she buys the hair from the vendor, she never talks about it immediately. And I think that's one of the things I found amazing with her. She waits for about 6 months. She buys it. She says, "Hey, I bought this hair from ABC vendor. I'll come back and talk about it." She gives it 6 months. She utilizes the hair for 6 months, comes back after 6 months and tells you the truth and nothing but the truth about, you know, the vendor, the hair. So a lot of people like her because they're like, okay, she's being honest. She has worn it. She has used it. She's telling us what it's like. So I think that's something influencers should also realize, that there's a lot of responsibility on them to perform and not just talk. You can't just talk because you're a celebrity. You can't just talk because you feel people will listen. If you break trust, it's hard to earn back. So that's something, that you need to consider. So when should businesses engage influencers? So if you're trying to create awareness, the best form of influencer to use, like I said, is mega influencers and macro influencers. But like I said, they don't come cheap. They have also built their personality to that point. So it comes at a cost, right? If you are trying to build credibility for your business or for your service or your product, then you're better off using industry influencers and thought leaders, right? And then if the goal is to conversion, sorry, then you're better off using micro influencers and customer influencers, right? And all these things I'm saying, I think it's best if you Google it. You Google the different types of influencers and also understand, what sector am I in and what is my goal. I will always say that. What is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to achieve? I said it last week, and I think it's something that should be considered very well. What is the end goal? What are you trying to accomplish? So if it's community engagement, then nano influencers, like I said earlier, they are close to the grassroots. So you need to use them because they understand the people you are trying to get to and who you are trying to get your product or service across to. If you're looking for growth, I would say use thought leaders and use industry experts. Those are very crucial and they're very important for your business. Um, Before you hire any influencer, just make sure you ask yourself some questions. Who is my audience? You know, I think I said that last week. Who is our audience? Where are they? What is our objective? Where does our audience spend time? Like I said last week, if you're trying to reach baby boomers, I don't think it would be advisable to use like a TikTok to reach baby boomers. You can reach some there. There are some there, but most of them are not on TikTok. So you have to kind of analyze that situation and then tell yourself, okay, where are my, where is our audience? Where are they based? Who does our audience trust? You cannot use a Gen Z artist to convince a baby boomer. Not that it won't work. It will create visibility. However, it's not that's not the first person they would rely on. They'll probably rely on someone closer to their age range. So then another thing you need to consider when you're trying to get an influencer is, how would success be measured, And that's the most crucial and most important part. How would we measure success? Are we going to say, okay, we created awareness, we went from 10,000 followers to we are now almost at 1 million followers because since this person got on our, since this celebrity or this individual, this personality got, you know, started influencing our product or service. How do you measure success? That's also very important. So that's very crucial. And then I will say the most strategic brands choose influencers based on audience alignment, I said that earlier, credibility, relevance, and trust. Make sure if you're getting an influencer, you're putting these things into consideration. I'll say them again: audience alignment, credibility, relevance, and trust, because it is very important. Those things are what helps your business to grow. You know, I said this before, influencer marketing is not about finding the biggest voice. It's also about understanding your niche or your business and looking for the right person that can help your business grow. At the end of the day, the bottom line is revenue. So you always want that to be your end goal. Who will help us increase our revenue? I think that is the most important and most strategic question you can ask before engaging an influencer. Just because someone has 10 million followers doesn't mean they are the right influencer for your business. Consider that. And if you're not sure about how to, who to use or how to go about making choices, that's why I'm here. Like I said, my name is Momo. I am the founder of Momo's Marketing Consulting, and these are some of the things that we address in our firm. So thank you. I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you which influencer to use for your business and why you should utilize that influencer. All right. Take care and God bless. Peace.